Trundle coming up obviously is an answer to tanks, but you have mostly this Alistair, mostly the Braum, and Braum now banned out, not seeing as much play. Thresh coming in pretty big, Bard coming in big, these playmaking, these pick-making supports, and we see both Bard and Braum banned out here, along with the Kindred, the Callista, and the Nidalee. So a lot of jungle bans sent out by Isurus here already.
Wow, yeah, so many sent out. That's a Stomaged actually had a great game on Gragas against the Chiefs, and Graves is still available, so you'd have to think that Kletos picks that one off straight away. Otherwise, what's the point of banning the other two junglers? But, you know, Maokai's still up as well, and it is going to be Troldrin up in the top lane there for Supermassive. So, Troldrin, of course, known for his Rumble play last year and his great shot calling on Besiktas, but can play the tanks quite nicely.
Relatively comfortable, experienced top laner, and top lane one of those metas that changes so frequently that you kind of have to have a deeper champion pool. Maokai going to be the first lock-in here for Isurus, so not opting to take the early Graves pick. As we've seen jungle, usually the priority for so many teams, but...
See, now I just disagree with their two bans, because, like, we've already seen today, Graves is fine against Gragas, and you expect Gragas to be the jungler that Kletos picks up. Like, I just don't understand why you would first pick the Maokai after banning Kindred and Nidalee.
It doesn't, I mean, I think the priority may be there, just trying to defend Kletos, just trying to make it easy on themselves, but at the end of the day, I think I would agree with you in that it's just really not optimal for the team, and at least not optimal for what we've seen so far from the International Wildcard Invitational. Opposite side, Azir and Graves both getting locked in. Azir, a pretty big pick for a lot of teams, seeing a lot of bans, and we've seen what it can do late game, and a lot of these games have been pushing to the later stages, you know, excluding the 60-minute game. We don't need to take that one into account, but most of the games are pushing past early. We only see a few dominating games here and there, and Graves, one of the power picks in the jungle, and of course the only power pick remaining with Kindred and Nidalee taken off the table.
Yeah, 100%, and it's Naru's Azir as well. We've already seen this guy with his hands on it, I think, once before in the tournament, was able to put it to work. EMP now has that call. Do I scale? Is it going to be something like a Victor against it, or do I just go back to the LeBlanc and try and shut it down? Because honestly, Naru is a really good control mage and a very good team fighter. And I think that that's something that you can say of a lot of the Supermassive members, but especially their mid laner.
Yeah, Naru, an absolute powerhouse, and, you know, happy to be here, of course, for International Wildcard, fighting for the spot for MSI. Opposite side for Isurus Gaming, though, they've been struggling a bit more. We can talk about it again, but Gragas is going to be the pick-in. Called it right. This is a matchup I believe Kletos has already played today. Yep. Graves into Gragas, and he was getting bullied out a little bit in the early stages of the game, but they're not going to pick a mid laner quite yet. They are going to opt to pick up this Lucian for the bot lane.
PvP stay horse in the last game where we saw Graves versus Gragas went more PvE mode, and I think he was level 6 to level 4. Then he went up top lane and just collateral damage and just killed his bottom lane. So.
Yeah, he's like farming for gear, right? Like, you have to be ready.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
farms up the gear and then he PvPs. You need the PvP gear, and in this case, it's just a challenging smite and a warrior enchantment. But then immediately after that, that 20, I think maybe 20 CS, well, in the jungle, 10, 15 CS lead, massive experience difference, and just started killing people across the map. Isurus Gaming kind of playing with fire, giving it into the hands of Stromguard here, because it's just, once again, a pick that can jungle so fast, can get ahead so quickly, and just dishes out so much damage.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that we've, like, oh, look, Poppy top. No, I think we've got another Poppy support game coming out for us, ladies and gentlemen.
Poppy support, you know, honestly, I think Poppy support is perfect for Jungle Dash. Once again, it fits right into his playstyle. Could still be Poppy top. It is obviously that flex pick, and more often than not, you'd assume as a top laner. It's almost exclusively a flex for Supermassive at this point. Ezreal, additionally, the lock-in here. So 2 scaling champions in the Ezreal and the Azir. Could potentially be a weakness for the Supermassive side, but the final picks for Isurus Gaming, they are going to be busting out the Varus as well as the Trundle. So looking like the Trundle support. Yeah,
so a lot of disengage here and a pretty good poke comp if you take into account like the fact that the piercing arrow is going to go on to about a 3.7 second cooldown, and you'll take something like Deathfire Touch, so good mixed damage there as well. It does magic damage on the back end of all that AD that you pick up, so I like it especially against Naru's Azir. We'll see whether he's able to utilize it and get ahead during the laning phase and poke him out a little bit. I think that they do need to be concerned that if they ever do get caught out, however, it's going to be quite difficult to do damage without either Izzy or Lucian, and it's going to be a top lane Graves.
And it's the top lane Graves. I was waiting. I heard you pause for a second because I know you were seeing that, Elise. Oh, boys, we're Season 3 now. Let's take it back For those of you who remember the NALCS and the support Elise, I don't want to say anything until they're 100% swapped because I just don't trust Supermassive anymore.
I don't trust Dumbledore. So obviously at IWC, Dumbledore was there. And the whole of his team is crowded around, like, pick bands, draft phase. He's sitting there practicing Bard. And not in a way you would think. So he's on the Howling Abyss. Because obviously there was a 1v1 tournament there as well. And all he is practicing is getting his magical journey back to against the wall down the lane. So he could like get quicker recalls on for the 1v1 tournament. So everyone else is sitting there preparing for the 5v5 and Double Doge is just magical journeying down wall like time and time again. And I was like, this guy might actually be like he might actually be a wizard because he just rocks up and plays so well. Honestly, a really lovely guy. Like he's always on social media talking to the Oceanic pro players as well. So I have a lot of respect for Dumbledore and the Supermassive lineup, and I think that they've put together a really nice team comp. But I do want to see whether that was Elise support or Elise jungle.
And we'll find out as we get into game here in Isurus Gaming versus Supermassive eSports. But outside of the Elise pick, I mean, how do you not talk about the Elise pick? If this Elise is a support, then let's pretend that it is. Yeah. Because it could be the Poppy. They could swap. We could figure it out maybe. And we'll come in. Elise support we saw Season 3 when her base damages were very high. It dished out raw damage. Cocoon was a 1.5 second stun, at every level. And admittedly, I played it. It was cheesy. It was glorious. It was fun.
It was great. You used to max volatile spider landing as well, and it would prioritize champions and like run around creep waves and do crazy things. Yeah, had really good poke damage and fantastic all in. So I do agree that it was a good support, and it is Elise support. So the jungle theory for Double Doge is confirmed.
Targan's Brace Elise support, or Relic Shield at this stage, of course. We'll see what he turns it into as he moves forward, and it's looking like standard lanes coming out. Both sides so far, although one side may look for the swap. Want to focus in on mid lane. We talk about Naru as one of the primary carries, an amazing team fighter, but the Varus versus Azir lane, how do you think this one's going to shape up?
Yeah, so Varus versus Azir is very firmly in favor of the Varus. He is able to put down a lot of poke damage. Doesn't really have to go within Azir's Sand Soldier's range because he has such a good laning phase from range. So I really do like the matchup. Forces Cleanse as well. You can see Naru's picked it up because of the ultimate and has good, they have really nice soft CC and hard CC between Kratos and EMP right now. So I do like the lane matchup. However, I always say this, and then Naru always wins somehow. So I'm going to caveat it with, however, he is going up against the best Azir in the IWC region, and we'll see whether he's able to make it work.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure going up against Naru. He has proven himself to be one of the best mid laners in this tournament, of course. Have to see if he can continue to show up. And if EMP, who's also been doing quite well, especially in that little Blanca game earlier today, can continue to show a similar level of aggression and lane dominance with the Varus pick. Dumbledore. I just want to only watch the support Elise because I find it so fascinating and I want to know how it works.
Yeah. I want to know what the secret is to it. I guess that good turret dive out of Elise is something you always have to talk about with Repel.
And with the starting Volatile Spiderling, she has the attack speed steroid of Skittering Frenzy and can take towers incredibly quickly. Newbie, though, just going to be bullying out here, trying to deny a little bit of this early jungle clear. Fighting over that last little Sentinel in the blue camp as Newbie will finally back out.
Hey, there were some gold at the moment, those little Sentinels.
Yeah.
What?
We saw them both go down for the bottom lane of Elise Ezreal. I will never get used to saying that. So,
I don't know. I could come to love it, I think. Elise Ezreal. I think that there is potential.
All right, smite Alistair bot lane.
Yeah. Exactly. Don't worry. Yeah, if you're in Oceania, after the next 2 matchups that I'm casting, do not go near solo queue.
Also, for all of Oceania and for the world as a whole, please don't play support Elise. Well, we'll see. It could be really good. It's going to be a fight already here in the jungle, however. Thaldron taking a decent amount of damage. Oh, the wall bang onto Pride. The stun from over the wall. They're trying to find the kill. Primera Sangre going down in favor of Isurus Gaming, and they're not done quite yet. Newbie only level 1, though. He's just going to have to back off here, and an excellent first blood pickup from Isurus.
Fantastic collapse, more importantly. They were going to swap the lane back, as you see. The AD carry and support duo heading into the top side. That's why they were able to get the catch there.
Oh, Dumbledore just continuing to poke out here, and you're right, a great catch, but this Elise actually does a decent amount of damage. They have to be careful. He's going to have to back half here. Klados using the smite, making sure he can get this one. They know she has the cocoon and not the ability to dive in there, so they're feeling relatively safe, but Ezreal not looking so hot in these trades in the top lane.
Yeah, he's like, where's my jungler? Or slash support. What are you again?
It's perfect because we said he was the jungle support. Now he's playing a jungler as support.
Yeah, honestly, as far as storylines go, Double Doge has your back when you make a call. So
Double Doge is the real homie. Gotta appreciate it. Well, Pillar coming out. Double Doge just gonna have to back off here, taking a decent amount of damage. Lucian, of course, such a strong lane bully. Really getting aggressive here on the side of Supermassive bot lane. Heal coming out. They might be looking for blood. Newbie could be in trouble. Doesn't have flash.
Has flash.
Oh, going up into the air, looking for it. That's the level 2 for Elise still. Does not have the level 3 flashing out. Here comes Storm Gods. That's going to be the Lucian going down almost assuredly. Red buff ticking. Lucian will drop, and at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1. Pretty even trade.
Yeah, it's pretty even, but another gank into the bottom lane. Thaldrin in trouble.
Maokai point and clicking his way into that CC. Oh, going to hit him with the flash. Excellent response coming in from Klados on that one. Thaldrin going to make it out safely, but some flashy plays on both sides.
Yeah, exactly right. So able to use the end of the body slam, change direction with the flash and get back in there. Thank you, Skyra, for teaching me that in Season 2. However, Summoner spells burnt across the board. Thaldrin also going to have to burn teleport to come in back here. Has meant an isolated mid lane, but Naru, true to his word, is up in CS.
Yeah, doing very well, bowling out the Varus. And Varus without that tier, I think just does not have the mana at this stage to trade consistently, as Azir can just keep poking with the Sand Soldiers. But this is what we expected. Naru, despite picking into a theoretically losing matchup, still coming out on top as he starts to extend the CS advantage.
Yeah, and he's going to get himself a free shop in as well. Go back, 13 already. Some of that will die to the turret as well, although the tail end will be picked up. And Supermassive, it's been an aggressive start to the game. But because of some good CSing, they are still up in gold whilst being down a kill.
Overall, relatively even so far. So we'll have to see if there are going to be any major tower takes. We do just have the reverse lanes here. So the duos are top. The tops are now bottom. And maybe setting their sights on an early Rift Herald here. Do have the dragon, or do have the jungler bringing in Klados. But Dumbledoge, never going to let anybody get away with anything for free.
He dashed into the wall.
Doesn't have a way out here. Is going to get stunned up. Dumbledoge actually in trouble. There's 4 members of Isurus here, and Dumbledoge has overstayed his welcome. No safety even in his own jungle.
Yeah, so fantastic collapse one more time. We mentioned that there is pushing power in the mid lane, so as soon as that tier's picked up, he shoves out the wave. Naru wasn't yet back from his shop, and Dumbledoge gets caught out. Good heads-up play. Thaldrin now, wow.
Taking a lot of damage here. Pride actually doing very well in these trades overall. That assist helping him pick up the early double Dorans and making all the difference in those trades.
Yeah, and Swiper, a little bit vocal that the nerf to the Poppy early game has really affected Poppy. So laning phase isn't as easy as it used to be.
Yep, Thaldrin just continuing to take more and more damage out of these trades. Klados once again looking for Dumbledoge. Dumbledoge appears to be the story of his life. Once again leaping into the air, but Azir's here to back him up this time. Dumbledoge, though, don't think he's going to make it out of this one. Naru may look for some revenge here. EMP so low. Pushing in, looking for one more auto, maybe 2. Not going to get it. And once again, the Doge goes down.
Yeah, so not making me a believer of the Elise so far, Dumbledoge. I said, that you were the person that, had my back with a lot of things, but this is a... I'm not going to call it... Maybe it's a scaling support. Maybe you got to wait for some levels.
The scaling support argument. The only one we will ever hear in the favor of the Dumbledoge pick. EMP trying to poke out a little bit here. Stop Naru from getting any more aggressive on this turret.
He's only level 3. He needs level 9 so he can get
the max
points
Q.
In the Q.
The neurotoxin. It's a rough life for the Elise support. I feel like, staying true to his name and that he's roaming, but just getting caught out left and right. And clearly Isurus have done their homework because they're not letting him get away with it. Only level 3, never going to lane to get experience either, though. So he may be level 3, level
Forever.
4 for a while.
Yeah, he's a river spider right now. He just walks up and down river continually. One thing you pointed out is you thought that Trundle would be a good pick for him. Newbie picked it up this time, but has been able to match that playstyle very successfully. So
yeah. Not scared of Dumbledoge at all. Thunderlord's coming out, not dishing out too much damage here, and just Dumbledoge looking so strong early, trading so aggressively. They 1-for-1 on the top lane. He was aggressive on the jungle invade, and now he's just completely on the back foot.
Yeah, he wants to get back in lane to get himself some of those levels as well. MP takes a lot of damage one more time. Naru is 20 CS up.
Yeah, Naru absolutely dominating this mid lane matchup. Hex Drinker already coming out for the Varus. Clearly scared here. Naru not worried at all about the arrow. The culling will come out here from Lucian, putting some pressure on here. And EMP just trying to get what he can at this stage of the laning phase.
Oh, and it's really rough to watch because you can see that Naru's unrelenting in his pressure. He's just walking away from arrows casually. He's holding the wave wherever he can. Kledos actually trying to get in here and affect a gank, so I like this. However, not going to be the case. Instead, it just drives by.
Yeah, Naru knowing when to back off here. Don't know if his team, playing a little bit safer, pushed in the wave initially, but now backing off, letting Varus push him back out. But I think the biggest thing here is that the arrows just are not finding their mark, as he's sidestepping nearly every one of them. And if he's not sidestepping them, he's trading back with Sand Soldiers in the face of Varus.
Yeah, and Rusty talks about it a lot, but the Sand Soldier auto attack Q auto from Azir, kind of impossible to trade back within the landing phase, especially if you get some early AP. And it doesn't really get any better as items like the Rylai's Crystal Scepter are picked up into the later stage of the game. So just a very safe trading champion. You have to either be able to be completely out of range where you're not trading, you're just giving free harass, or you have to be an all-in champion like a Zed, like a LeBlanc to just be able to lead him. Because if you get into these extended trades with Azir, his trade is just so easy to pull off that he'd get it every single time.
Well, ISG clearly aware that things are going south in the mid lane, continuing to put pressure here as both Gragas and Trundle showing their faces on that side of the map. Dumbledore, our resident support jungler, showing his face once again, and EMP finally finding an arrow, starting to make this lane a little bit easier on himself.
And that's what it should be, right? He should just be able to chunk out Naru with 2 arrows, force another shot, as the 2 junglers now joining up to take down the dragon.
I'll never get tired of calling him the other jungler. It's so perfect for him. But that dragon, not going to be a huge boon for the team overall, but taking advantage of the fact that there is so much attention on the top side of the map to make sure that they can secure something. Dragon, not always a huge priority in these games, sometimes ignored till 10, 15 minutes. Today it's 10, and we've seen a lot of teams wait for 5th Dragon to get that win condition, so always a backup option if things start to go south.
Yeah, it certainly is. That scaling Elise, of course, appreciates 5th Dragon more than most supports, as we actually see first turret of the game called out as well. This is a pretty big deal, actually, because that was standard lanes, and Zakra is able to go off there and completely dominate.
This is the early game that we expected from Isurus after we saw how well they did today with that LeBlanc pick in the mid lane. This time, it's not the LeBlanc who's doing amazingly, but the Varus roams, despite losing in lane, have been helping out the team immensely. And, 4 kills to 1 with about a 1.5k gold lead, a great way to start the game.
Yeah, it certainly is, but here it goes. We were talking about the pushing power of both Graves and Elise as junglers and as support respectively. Going to be able to get in here as Pride takes some damage.
Maokai not too scared, though, just going to use that ultimate to help clear the wave. Newbie now ready to back him up, so I don't think we'll see a dive quite yet, but Gragas could be hungry for blood. He's coming in on the top side, not going to follow through, and Naru, finally EMP. Maybe he's figured him out, maybe he knows his habits of dodging, or not dodging in that case, and starting to hit those arrows left and right, and that's really where he needs to be.
Yeah, exactly right, and now Stamaj looking...
Oh. We didn't quite get to see where the cask is going, but now we get to see how Stormrod is going to respond to this. Kledos just going to walk away.
Okay, so Naru just used an E to get out of that barrel. Must have seen it coming from a mile away, and then the jungler kind of caught up. Ooh.
Oh, Zekro taking a lot of damage here. There's the power of that Elise into the air and back down for the repel. That's going to be one dead Lucian. Overstaying his welcome. Can't underestimate the execution power of that spider.
Yeah, well, she's got 2% health attacks. That's why she can build full tank as a jungler and still be relevant. But I think that after killing her twice, they kind of thought that they had the measure. But as an Australian, I think I can speak quite comfortably on this subject. Never underestimate spiders. Those things can be anywhere.
The first thing it's the scariest thing when I got here is I was convinced that if I opened my hotel window at night that there would be just spiders everywhere.
Big ones as well.
Oh, God.
Size of your fist.
It's not what I need to hear right now. Clearly not what ISG wanted to hear either, as Dumbledore picks up, or helps pick up those kills in the bottom lane. Now 0, 2, and 2, as Supermassive are going to secure this blue buff after a little bit of a reset. Not quite time efficient, but not a huge deal.
Yeah, no. So that'll be completely fine. But the the CS discrepancy in mid lane has narrowed slightly. So only about 10 down now.
Of course, the biggest discrepancy here is going to be the difference in the junglers, is the power of Graves. 36 to 58 almost entirely evening out the gold lead here as it is 20.6 to 20.2K. It's a rough life for that Gragas. He is quite far behind in terms of farm.
Yeah, he certainly is. It's his fault. He keeps picking Gragas into this matchup. I understand the gank potential, and especially against Azir. I'm actually a big advocate for Gragas against Azir because you can pop him out from underneath that turret, make your life a little bit easier.
Here comes the gank. There's no cleanse coming in from him quite yet. Trying to use the ultimate to get to safety. The arrow just short of finding the kill there. Dumbledoge hoping to find the collapse. Ezreal throwing the ult on the backside, but they're going to walk away empty-handed.
Yeah, so in the end, not much going down here, but it is now EMP starting to dominate the mid lane. He's going to equal up CS completely, and Naru starting to feel some pressure.
Yeah, rough life for Naru, of course, not having that cleanse this time around. Staltron's starting to get aggressive. Dilution, he's already made one mistake this game. He might make another, but the rest of the team is fighting in the mid lane. Gragas trying to find the initiation. Graves taking so much damage, the collateral damage will not take him to safety. And Dumbledoge is hungry for kills, but he may just find another death as the Spider will once again drop in the 2-for-1 in favor of Isurus.
Yeah, so Isurus Gaming able to get a huge mid lane team fight. There was uneven numbers, however, as Achu wasn't there. Thaldrum, meanwhile, soloed out the Lucian. Had to burn the flash for the kill, it looks like, but able to pick that one out in the bottom lane.
Pride, the only man left standing to help defend this turret, though, so Supermassive may be able to get something back. The Varus is coming in as well now with a blue buff at his back. Should help him clear out these waves. Naru hungry for blood here as he starts to push forward, but not going to find any opportunities to go in.
Yeah, so in the end, they will be able to defend their turret. Straight line wave clear out of Virus will be good for now. And Achu forced to go back towards the top side of the map and clean up some farm.
Has the blue buff, should be fine here. Relative mana pool is low, but he's at the stage of the game where he is just going to be able to mostly one-shot these waves. Oh, no, not even. Only about half health there, but still clearing it out relatively easily.
Dumbledoge and Storm Mage once again roaming around as a duo. Has his level 6 now. Of course, that means an extra Spider.
Yeah, important place to be. I mean, I play a lot of Elise, and I have to say that I can understand conceptually why support Elise would be good, but she's just so vulnerable before she gets those tank items, and Dumbledoge has been suffering a lot as a result of that, as he's kind of overestimating how strong he is at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I think that people also see the power of Elise, of Runic Echoes, and mistake that for the power of Elise. I think Runic Echoes is just pretty much good on everyone. A Soldier one more time wants the AD carry.
Hoping to find it here. Colin coming out. Not dishing out too much damage, though. The Poppy already has that Sunfire Cape. Lucian, no penetration items quite yet. EMP taking a decent amount of damage. Dumbledoge. I'm always ready for a Flash Cocoon. Doesn't even have Flash, and I'm ready for the Flash Cocoon.
I was actually ready for the Naru swoop there, going in for the Emperor's Divide, but doesn't go for it in the end. Instead, they'll just take down mid lane turret. Thaldrum also bullied off a turret in the bottom lane. So this is back and forth League of Legends right now, and Supermassive trying to just jockey for position and break open the map.
Yeah, haven't quite broken it open just yet, but they are starting to find small advantages. They're not hemorrhaging quite as much as one might expect after all of the kills going in the favor of Isurus, but now 6-3, and they're looking to get their second dragon only 16 minutes into this game. Fifth dragon normally goes very late, but they're making sure they pick these up as they spawn.
Yeah, and I just feel like this is the benefit of having a man on your team that wants to play jungle champions. It isn't actually a jungler. Your neutral objective control is phenomenal. So, poor Achu has been 1v2 lane the entirety of this game, but
I mean, at the same time, he's picking Ezreal, right? He's always going to be able to farm safe. He's not super powerful early in the game. I mean, even despite that, he's been able to grab kills. So it looks like they're aware of how Dumbledoge plays, and they're playing to that as a strength. But Isurus going to make sure that that dragon does not go untraded, and are going to try to pick up a tower here. Maybe able to get it on the next wave, although Thaldrum is ready on the flank.
Yeah, and I think they should treat it as a flank. I mean, unique playstyle is something that's very hard to play against, especially in a best-of-1. I mean, how often do you play against... Ooh, good arrow, actually.
Yeah, how do you adapt mid-game to the support Elise?
Yeah, like, you see that in pick ban, you're like, all right, cool, like, here's a Poppy one more time. It's going to be Graves top lane. Oh.
Nope, Naru's starting to get aggressive. Not fall quite yet.
Then it all goes pear-shaped because they lock in Elise support, and you're like, well, I have never played against this, nor do I intend to in the future, and it's a best-of-1, so we have to win this game right now to continue our push towards playoffs. A lot of pressure on this Isurus gaming lineup, and Supermassive, they've kind of done the hard work already today. They took out a hard random, got themselves a good win. Another win will definitely be worthwhile for them, but they certainly look pretty chill on their player cams.
Yeah, and looking, I mean, probably pretty relaxed overall. Just they have not 100% qualified for playoffs yet, but they're getting closer and closer. Another win here would make it almost guaranteed, although Thaldren continues to be hungry for blood. Just going in for the quick combo there. Doesn't want to commit to the full dive.
Yeah, so in the end, doesn't even burn an ultimate or something like that. Just trying to see if he can get a heal out of the AD carry. Instead, they'll take away the red buff, Dumbledore and Thaldren.
Have to see if they secure that one. But the thing I want to talk about is that Isurus Gaming once again seem to be doing relatively well in the early to mid game, punishing rotations. They're giving up a few kills, they're giving up a few objectives, but they're still doing well to exchange. They're playing smart League of Legends, and now we have to look at, is this going to continue as we move forward? Yeah. Are they going to be able to transition this to mid and late game?
And that's the biggest thing for me, right? And a lot of it does hinge on EMP's pick. I think that the Varus is going to dictate a lot of the pace of the game. If he gets the poke outs, they'll be able to start securing some of the dragons and the barons for themselves. I think that it was a really smart pick into the Nara in that regard. And I also think that, Kletos has to go massive at a certain point on the Gragas, because otherwise there's not really all that much point in picking it. So look for him to have a big team fight relatively soon before he gets outscaled by what will be pretty much an all-damage Graves coming in. So I think that they do have the tools in their team composition to be very successful. Beefy frontline, Trundle, Maokai, Gragas, good poke, and double AD carry comp that has a little bit of magic damage in there as well. So
yeah, very strong late game scaling for Supermassive overall. Pretty strong composition. But if Varus gets the opportunity, as you said, he can poke through these champions and can make sure that they do not get the chance to make it to late game. And Thaldren, the Poppycopter, not going to find purchase there, as he is going to get that canceled. They don't quite have the waves to push in.
Another double arrow, and Naru has to leave. He is half health. They've got great lane matchups actually right now. I mean, Achu is not doing any damage to Pride. In fact, he's healing him up because he keeps shooting Mystic shots out there, and they've got a great siege now in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think Rusty said it best in the last game where we saw Maokai, or trying to kill Maokai. Just stop casting spells. You're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
And at this point, Isurus Gaming going to pick up that tower and actually get themselves a gold lead. 1K once again, 20 minutes in, not massive. But if they can start to extend it, if they can start to use the advantages that they've been accruing, could turn into something much greater.
Yeah, and I think that what is more to point out is that at least that's their team comp working the way it's intended, right? They poke Naru off the turret. All of a sudden, they're able to siege up nice and successfully. Gragas threatens forward with the barrel, and they have to respect it, back away. They get a free objective, and that's all this team comp wants to do. Just continue to work their way around the base. As now Naru a little bit caught, potentially.
Could be in trouble. Newbie has already burned the pillar. Dumbledore here on the backside, and there's the Shurima Shuffle, and that's going to be one dead Lucian. Naru making the plays. Absolutely happy to get that pick off.
Yeah, he's a really good Azir, by the way. So able to swoop in there, picks himself up a kill. That was beautiful to watch, honestly. And Achu was there for support as well as Dumbledore. And as soon as Dumbledore reared that spider's head, you knew that some action was going to go down, and Naru was able to turn it on. Yep,
Ezreal coming out, so a little bit of poke return on the side of Supermassive. Poppy from the backside. They're going to have to flash to safety, and TP's coming out to make sure this tower will not go down. Isurus Gaming, though, not finding the opportunity to force a fight and just burning cooldowns to stay safe.
Yeah, exactly right. So a lot burnt there out of Isurus Gaming. They have no subjugate to really get rid of Thaldren at the moment. It's going to be a couple of minutes until the next dragon. Everyone goes back, gets a big shop in now. And they're looking very, very comfortable in this composition, Supermassive. Strangely so, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I don't think we ever expect anyone to look comfortable with the sport, at least, but it's working out well for them. Dumbledore, despite his early failings, is hitting the cocoons when they count and has been very helpful in assisting the team. That's the first time I've heard that in the Spanish client. It sounds very cool when the Azir tower goes down.
Oh, did you hear Twisted Fate before?
No, I didn't get to hear it.
The other day, we were having a conversation of what champions will sound much better in Spanish, obviously. And everyone was like, want to hear Fiora? And I was like, I want to hear Twisted Fate. And then I heard it, and I was like, he is much cooler in Spanish.
Awesome. Something for me to Google after this game, and maybe hope that someone's going to pick up TF again, as it was pretty dang successful for the Chiefs in our last game.
Also pretty successful for Saigon Jokers in their game versus the Chiefs. Just something that seems to do well in the wild card. As Klados now stunned up.
Dumbledore throwing out the cocoon. Graves more than happy to back up with a bit of damage, but no commitment quite yet from either side as EMP hoping to find an arrow here. Just going to be just short of Dumbledore overall, but now 5 members of Isurus are ready for a fight. Thaldren backing off. Could look for a TP flank. Not sure if this is a fight they want to take, though.
Hits Achu with an arrow there. does the Varus.
That's the Varus thing.
Has already picked himself up a Last Whisper. Not sure if I like the item.
Yeah, not quite the item it once was. Only bonus penetration now. There's the Poppy TP on the side. This could be the fight we're expecting. Thaldron coming in, looking for an opportunity to go ham here, and Pride is getting burned down by the entire team, and it looks like he overextended as Thaldron is ready to keep this one rolling. EMP all left all alone as the Graves is suddenly on top of him. He gets popped in an instant as Graves grabs that kill, and suddenly every member left. Elise going to go up to the air to save her life. The double kill for Graves, looking to make it a triple.
He goes double doge.
Double doge. He doesn't even care. Going over the wall, hoping to find a little bit more. We'll have to see how that worked out for him. But Naru says it's time once again. Not quite the Shurima shuffle, but still going to snag the kill. And double doge's hunger for blood never ceases to amaze
He still has Ignite. Get back in there, man. The fight is not yet over, but it is a 4-for-1 trade in the end. Only Thaldron falling down. And Supermassive coming up with a huge team fight.
Absolutely amazing coordination there. The Maokai on the side of Isurus Gaming, maybe overextending, overstaying his welcome, but Supermassive more than happy to punish him for it and turn that fight in their favor so quickly.
There was a critical mistake out of Kratos actually in that fight. He used the Gragas cask as an execute on Thaldron instead of blowing the rest of the team back. They would have eventually got Thaldron anyway. I mean, it's only a couple hundred magic damage, but the reposition just wasn't there for them to be able to re-engage onto the fight. What that meant is that Storm Age just dashed into their face, and Graves was putting out so much damage that the fight kind of went pear-shaped from there.
Yeah, and the Graves an absolute powerhouse. 20 CS lead in jungle creeps over the opposition, in addition to the 3-1-2 scoreline. Mob, Malmortius, Warrior Enchantment, and now building toward, or with has the Jarm's Fist, building towards more defensive options.
Yeah, probably Asterix Gauge going to come out there. Speaking to Carbon, he really doesn't like this build all that much at the moment. He thinks Phantom Dancer is just superior. It gives you a defensive flavor still, but you need the attack speed on Graves to be that late game powerhouse. I tend to agree with him. I think there is a place for this build, but right now when I'm looking at the burst damage that's going to come out, it's not really all that high. So would really like to see that Phantom Dancer so Stomage can stay aggressive up in people's face and dish out all that Graves damage.
Doing really well. Dumbledore just, despite having no items, continues to remain aggressive as well in that last team fight. And this is the moment we were worried about for ISG, is that they had the advantage, they were doing well, and one mistake and they're suddenly 3K gold behind as Supermassive turned the whole game on its head and managed to secure that third dragon, pushing ever closer to that fifth dragon.
Missing another spear here. You can see that Newbie throwing down the pillar next to people slows them down. Should pretty much guarantee EMP's poke, but just is not doing so anymore. I mean, we had that one push down the mid lane where they were able to execute on their composition beautifully, but after that fact, hasn't really been the same.
Yeah. And we've seen the Varus come out against Isurus Gaming in their match versus Lion. They were able to shut it down. Now Supermassive doing the same to Isurus, but Naru may have overstayed his welcome. The flash going to be burned and wasted. Arrow not going to hit. Ezreal ult on the backside. Stormguard trying to make it out to safety. At the end of the day, that's the quick pickup on Naru, and that's exactly what Isurus needed.
Yeah, it certainly was. So they shut down the Azir, who was putting out all that consistent damage. Still puts up a pretty good fight as Soldierin continues to chip away at this bottom lane. That's good news because it proves that the teleport flanks still are a win condition for this Maokai player. In Pride. Heads up play for him, but maybe not enough at this stage of the game because they are going to lose a major objective for it.
Yep, Thaldron continuing to split push here. A very powerful Poppy, has that core build of the Iceborne Gauntlet and the Sunfire Cape, so not a whole lot of people going to be able to go toe-to-toe with her at this stage in the game.
And Poppy is just so unforgiving when you do make mistakes like that because she is a Sheen user, and Sheen means that you can push through turrets incredibly quickly, especially with Dragon number 2. It's one of the better changes I think we made. Empowers tanky top laners to just be able to shred through these structures if you leave them unattended with them, and no one rotated down quickly enough to Thaldron and comes up with a heads-up play.
Yeah, it worked out very well for the team. Of course, maintaining that 3K gold lead despite Naru going down. Baron being pinged out here. Dumbledore looking to set down some vision. We haven't seen a whole ton of early Barons, although it is approaching the 30-minute mark, so this may start to be the major objective that teams look to contest. And, honestly, the Supermassive lineup just does not look like what's one you want to team fight against.
No, exactly right. You want to continue to try and split push, open up the map, poke out, and then once you're ready, look for Pride's flank. But you do need to land that poke damage quite successfully onto Naru or a Chew before the team fight begins. Otherwise, you're not in with much hope of winning it against what is a blue Ezreal and a Rylai's Crystal Scepter Azir.
Yeah, going to be very hard to catch up with them, of course. Ezreal additionally busting out the Blade of the Rune King for one more escape option, one more mobility option. Already has the Muramana finished, and Varus doesn't even have it done. It's 28 minutes, so very behind schedule on that one. Just now gets it, as I say, at the perfect instance of Caster's Curse.
But I agree with you. Like, 100% agree with the sentiment there that this is a Varus that should be much further accelerated than this. I mean, he had a lane against Azir. He had a better ganking jungler in Gragas. And it showed he went up a couple of kills in the laning phase as well because of Dumbledore. So this is something that EMP should have been working on much earlier. I mean, he had it from about minute 4, and just that's a very late transformation. Yeah,
finally going to get it. So obviously a pretty huge spike in his favor. Last Whisper, I think we can still say a little bit questionable here. We'll have to see if it works out for him. And once again, we're gonna look at this tank trading, but nothing's ever really going to happen here, despite Thaldrun running forward with confidence.
Yeah, sometimes it's about sending a message. And I don't exactly know what this message is. I like to fight you, apparently.
Hey, Maokai healing's pretty legit, I think is the message, because no damage going down on either side there. Grasp the Undying, pretty strong Keystone Mastery.
Yeah, it certainly is. But they're still going.
They're
going to go before they lose health.
Maokai continuing to go forward. The remaining members of SuperMassive setting their sights on this 4th dragon, and this one getting them ever closer to the 5th dragon mark and giving it up completely uncontested on the side of Isurus Gaming, not wanting to force a fight there, and they're going to have to fight for that 5th one, and it's not looking good for them so far.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. They just can't get the poke out. You know, Pride was locked in a deadly engage with Aldrin, so there was no way he was joining the fight. One thing I do want to point out is we're going to have another IE Lucian. This time going to be a little bit harsher on Zycro. Against an Azir, against a blue Ezreal, you're not really going to get all of that much chance to be dashing into their face anyway, and you need sustain. If you do not have sustain in this matchup, Azir is just going to poke you out. Dumbledore.
Oh, going to get a lot of damage there, though, as Dumbledore will once again get caught out, so then yeah, it's maybe not the strongest option. And we can see why, as Blue Ezreal is just poking him out, doesn't care about the rest of the team, is hunting for blood here, flashing into his team as the Graves is more than happy to back him up, but the Varus is going to take out the kill onto the Ezreal, and Graves is hungry. Not a single member of SuperMassive hesitating for even an instant. TP on the backside, Naru here to make it a play, and Graves makes it to safety. The double kill overall, and the TP getting canceled. An incredibly elongated team fight. SuperMassive going massive on that one.
Yeah, they certainly are. And all of a sudden, Pride, you better run to this Baron because Naru is ripping through it in no time whatsoever. Complete miscalculation there. They overcommit onto Dumbledore, use a lot of their abilities, and a Chu goes huge. Baron picked up for SuperMassive at 31 minutes into this game.
Dominating performance so far for SuperMassive, despite falling behind in the early game, despite, in theory, having a counter matchup, but Naru coming in huge here in these team fights, the team confident to back each other up and, you know, making their way into that team fight. Everyone knew, everyone was confident, despite burning all these summoners, and it wasn't clean, but the team made it work. Now SuperMassive should be able to start pushing in here, should be able to start taking major objectives.
That's embarrassing. Now you have to walk around. Sad day. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I think that now, obviously, poke means a little bit less. Varus is one of the better mid laners to deal with Baroned up creeps just because he is an AD caster and will be able to cut through them a little bit more effectively. But Dumbledore.
Nope. Dishing out a little bit of damage there onto EMP. Nara starting to move in there. There's 3 soldiers coming forward for that Varus, but he is going to make it out for the meantime. Naru backing off here. Dumbledore's still so tanky. Does not quite have the repel. Is going to get burned down in an instant. The Graves left all alone, but he's going to take out the Lucian before he drops. I don't know if there's enough damage to kill him, as Ezreal is here as well, pushing further and further back into enemy territory, but it just doesn't matter because it takes so long to kill him. Naru here for the backup. SuperMassive absolutely crushing that fight.
Yeah, they certainly are. And what the heck? Naru serves them into Thaldrun, who just... The big hammer came out there as well. That was a sick alley-oop. And SuperMassive, they're going to be able to look at break into the base. There's actually 4 pit members dead. It's at least double inhibitors, if not more.
And this could be the game. This could be the giant turning point for Isurus, where they have to win every game from here on out. And SuperMassive completely crushing the competition so far. We'll have to see. I don't know if they're going to close here, but it's going to be nigh impossible on the side of Isurus Gaming. They're going to have to play perfect League of Legends from this point out.
Yeah, exactly right. And you mentioned backs against the wall. They're 2-3. This would be 2-4 for Isurus Gaming, pretty much seeing their face of not making that playoffs, only being able to play spoiler against teams such as the Chiefs in tomorrow's matchups.
I think this is, despite Isurus' amazing strength in the early game, which once again we have to praise them for. They did well. They punished Dumbledore. They knew what they were doing, but just have not been able to transition it, and that has never been an issue for Supermassive. Naru consistently coming out on top in these team fights. This Graves spent most of the game farming up, the PvE champion, right? But now he comes into these team fights, and he's absolutely unstoppable.
Now he has a PD as well, so, you know, criticism of the build aside, the order, like the end result, spot on. He's going to be able to completely tear through people. Going to be even harder than it previously was to take him out of these team fights.
We saw how quickly he killed that Lucian effortlessly, and you talked about this as one of the disadvantages of the Infinity Edge Lucian. He just has no sustain options. And Graves may not have any sustain outside of when that Lifeline passive procs, but he's got an absurd amount of tanky stats and just does not care about the damage coming out here.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see if anything else eventuates. This will be probably the last push of the game. Thildren's pushing creeps into the base. You can see the rest of Supermassive just trying to pressure the bottom lane turret.
Not a whole lot of options left here in the defense of Isurus Gaming. Maybe hoping for a desperate cask, an opportunity to find a pick, or a missed position from Supermassive, but it hasn't happened yet as Thaldren's on the flank. Pride taking a ton of damage here. Going to interrupt the Poppycopter, but I don't know if it's going to matter. The remaining members, there's 3 going to get hit by the arrow, but it's going to be cleansed out. Thaldren could be in trouble. Pride is going to get dropped, and Thaldren is still living. No, finally, Kratos is going to go in. There's Dumbledore's back in the team, not going to drop as he repels into the air, and that's the double kill going over to Azir as Naru just dishes out damage from the back line. That's going to be the last tower, or one of the last towers, now the last inhibitor, now the last tower, as I collect myself. And finally, the win coming out for Supermassive as they make a statement after falling behind in that early game.
Yeah, and Naru, another fantastic Azir performance, 5-1 and 6. Choose Ezreal also going off. Dumbledore may have officially won the title of best distraction to ever play League of Legends off Pawn. That was once Pawn's title. Now I think I can safely give it over to Dumbledore.
The man made it work, and I think we have to give him props for that, because I don't know if it was the Elise
or just him.
Just him.
Yeah.
I feel like if we give him any champion with CC and the ability to save himself, he'll always be relevant, right? And he's just did so well. It was Cocoon. It was make the enemy team burn so many cooldowns and then immediately repel in the air. Like, I was like, Gragas cast hits the Elise. That's huge. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's a support Elise.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. You've just burned a major cooldown on someone who has no gold and is still somehow a threat to your team.
And like hunting people down after team fights, flashing over walls to see if he can pick up any more kills. He's certainly a fun, entertaining player to watch. And I think that Supermassive, once again, we said they should be using it as a strength, and they do. They isolate the Ezreal. They get him nice and farmed into the latter stage of the game. We mentioned the fact that Ezreal is a big pick because it allows Dumbledore to roam in that way. And then when you have a look at how well the rest of the team fight came together with Naru's Azir, with the Graves in there, with Thaldren as well on Poppy, they just were able to execute on team fight after team fight. And because there was no poke damage coming out, because there was no sustain on the Lucian, it just was a whitewash after whitewash.
And I think what we saw here is a big difference in terms of what good things can happen when you play to your team's strengths and what bad things can happen. Because Gragas, a huge priority pick consistently for Isurus, giving up the Graves. This is them playing to their strengths. This is them playing to what they're comfortable with, but they gave away so much raw power. Whereas Supermassive, they picked this oddball pick, this Elise. It plays to their strengths. It plays to Dumbledore's strengths. But at the end of the day, it does not cost them nearly as much, because that Graves was everything in those team fights. He was a tank. He was a huge damage threat. He was solo killing the AD carry essentially in fights. Absolutely a monster.
I just really question the Gragas, the prioritization on getting rid of Kindred if you're a good Gragas player. Because I think that if they swap those two bans and people start running Kindred into them, you can just drop the cask in the middle of the Kindred ulti. And like, it honestly ruins Kindred's day. People fly out of it, like the healing is not as effective. There are ways to at least counter that matchup. Gragas just can never dual Graves. Not at level 1, all the way through the end of the game, because his itemization is so good against AP Magic junglers. You can never face check, you can never go aggressive. I just think it was like an oversight. As I said, the Nidalee Kindred picks bans did not make sense to me as soon as they did not prioritize Graves in response.
I agree completely, and I think despite those issues in pick ban, overall they still managed to have a relatively positive early game. They did do their homework, it felt like. They punished Dumbledore for those early roams for this controversial Elise pick, but at the end of the day, they just once again were not able to transition it, and the late game scaling and the team fighting prowess of Supermassive just proved way too much for Isurus.
Yeah, and I think that what we saw there is that when we were looking at Isurus' comp, it was like they have to have setup time, and they need to be there before. Their vision control wasn't good enough, and they were continually punished by that. So, like, they would run into a team fight, look to get poke, and the hard engage would happen. Like, Double Doge would be caught out, or was he caught out because the Chew is there, then Naru flies in. So, I think that this composition, like, it was kind of Maokai looking for flanks, but everyone else needed to get poke damage down first, and they weren't able to get both sides of the composition working at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if they can improve that as they move forward. Of course, that is Isurus Gaming's final game of the day. They may be able to improve tomorrow as they come back, but we'll be right back with Saigon Jokers versus Lion Gaming right after the break.